Howdy y'all, I got the Bulldog on the channel. What we got here today is a 2005 Ford 500 with a 3-liter V6. The lesson is, it's not going to be a how-to or anything, it's another warning. I did a video here a while back about warning to do-it-yourselfers. This is another one. Just because you get new parts, it doesn't mean they're good. Now the story on this car is the battery went dead. So what did they do? They went and got a battery and they put in it and they drove it for a while and the battery went dead. The battery light was still on inside. So they just assumed bad alternator, which they were probably right. They got an alternator and they put on it and the battery went dead quicker. They had all kinds of electrical problems inside. The dash didn't want to work. So things were getting a whole lot worse. The speed sensor didn't function. They had no speedometer. A bunch of their gauges didn't want to work. And their battery light was still on. So that's how it ended up here. We do see all the stuff that doesn't work. We don't see the things that don't work because there's no reason to come here. But when we find them, sometimes they're pretty serious. Number one thing when you're doing your own work, you gotta have the tools to do it. First, you have to have the knowledge, because tools without knowledge is useless. Second, you have to have the tools. Now, you don't have to go extravagant. I've got a snap-on multimeter with an inductive amp probe. You don't have to have that. You can go to Harbor Freight and get one for a few dollars. It will do what you need to do when you're doing homework. If they would have had that, they would have known right away that this brand new alternator that they bought, as you can see up in there, was no good. It was junk. The reason is it has shorted out internally and it is self-exciting now. What was going on is the alternator was full fielding and putting over 16 volts into the car, which is making all the computers go nuts. They don't want 16 volts. The car came in, and when we saw that it was high voltage like that, I come down here and I unplugged the alternator. That plug-in off the back right there, I unplugged it. The alternator was still charging after that. It was charging 15.5 volts. I didn't wait for it because it was still climbing when I shut the car off. The car had been going dead. You shut the car off and leave it for 3 or 4 hours and the battery would be stone dead. So what did we do? Friday evening, this is Monday right now. Friday evening, I got up in there and I took the power cable off of the alternator. Left the battery hooked up on the car. We come in here Monday, battery's still up. Because the alternator is shorted out internally and self-exciting, it is draining the battery. That alternator is brand new. This is also leading into some of the comments I had on one of my videos saying that people can't afford it, they can't afford the horrendous markup on parts. That's part of what you're paying for. The customer has to deal with this part, whatever they're going to do with it. I'm not 100% sure. We talked to them this morning and supposedly they have another alternator that was sent to them by a relative some states away. They're dealing with a lot of stuff. All of it is costing them money. Somebody pays. That somebody is the customer. You either pay with your downtime, with added expenditures, running around, getting different parts, or you pay the shop's markup. It's the shop's responsibility to stand behind what they've sold. If they're making money on it, it's theirs, not somebody else's. But if we would have done this job to begin with, they wouldn't have bought a battery, most likely. The battery might have been bad, I don't know, because I didn't get the opportunity to test it. But that's $200. The alternator is almost $300, according to what they told me. And it's junk. Are they going to get their money back? I don't know. We're going to swap out this alternator with a different one. Again, we don't know the brand. I told them, when they told me where they got the alternator, I warned them before I ever saw the car. I said, we don't use that company anymore because of their high failure rate. So the knowledge of the shop is part of what you're paying for when you pay parts markup. There are unscrupulous mechanics out there that overcharge, that take advantage. I understand that. There are also ones out there that tell you this job's going to be $450, and then you go with the one that charges you $300. That one gets your money. The one that was going to charge you $450, he would have got it fixed. The one that charged you $300 got your money. You had a problem. They don't stand behind it. And now you're spending out money again, getting it fixed again. That's one of the things that I want to make clear. I understand that it's hard to come up with money in today's economy, but guess what? It has always been hard. I grew up poor. I know what it's like. What I don't know, what I cannot relate to, is not knowing how to do things. It's a foreign concept to me because I always, even if I don't know, I have to figure it out. I've never hired an electrician. I've never hired a plumber. The last thing I hired done was the roof on my house, and that ended up being a whole lot more than I expected. But I paid the bill, and I just won't hire them again. So when it comes to this, if you want to do it yourself, that's fine. But invest in a minimum amount of tools so that you're not spending money that you don't have to. And I hope that I help people out with these videos and try to save them something. Sometimes it saves you money to do it yourself. Sometimes it saves you money to have somebody else do it. Like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. We'll talk to you later.